You used to love this. Whatever this is for you. A game, a song, a food, a person, a hobby. You remember loving it. You have proof. But now you sit down with it and feel nothing. Not hate, not boredom exactly, just a flat, grey absence where the feeling used to be. And the terrifying part isn't that you've changed your mind, it's that you haven't. You still want to want it. The wanting is there, the feeling isn't. That gap between wanting to feel something and actually feeling it has a name. And once you understand what's happening inside your skull when it opens up, you will never look at pleasure the same way again. Here's the core idea. Your brain doesn't actually generate pleasure, it predicts it. And when the prediction becomes too reliable, it quietly switches the reward off. Not as punishment, not as malfunction, as efficiency. What feels like emotional deadness is, neurologically speaking, your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is, it was designed for a world that no longer exists. Let's start with what dopamine actually does, because almost everything you've heard about it is wrong. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical, it is the anticipation chemical. It doesn't fire when you get the reward, it fires when you predict you're about to get the reward, and more importantly, it fires hardest when the reward is unexpected. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz documented this in the 1990s through experiments with monkeys and juice. When a monkey randomly received juice, dopamine neurons exploded. When the monkey learned a cue that always preceded juice, the dopamine shifted, it fired at the cue, not the juice. And when the juice was reliably delivered and completely predictable, the dopamine response to the juice itself flatlined. The brain had updated its model. Expected reward is not exciting. Expected reward is just reality. Your brain stops annotating it. This is hedonic adaptation, and it is not a bug. It is ancient, ruthless, and extraordinarily clever. In an unpredictable environment, which is every environment humans evolved in, you needed your reward system to chase novelty, to spike at surprises, to drag your attention toward things that could matter. A brain that kept firing ecstatically for the same berry patch, the same shelter, the same face, would be a brain too busy celebrating the past to survive the future. So the system recalibrates, constantly. Whatever is reliable becomes invisible. Whatever is expected becomes background noise. Now follow this forward into the 21st century. We have built an environment of guaranteed, on-demand, maximum intensity stimulation. Every pleasure mechanism your brain has, social validation, narrative reward, sexual stimulation, sugar, competition, surprise, is now available at zero effort, infinite repetition, and algorithmically optimized intensity. You don't forage for social approval, you refresh a feed. You don't wait for a story, you autoplay. You don't stumble across music you love, it finds you before you finish the last song. Every loop closes instantly. Every prediction is immediately confirmed. Your dopamine system, built to spike at the unpredictable, is now living in a world where nothing is ever actually unpredictable. And so it adapts. The baseline rises. The spikes get smaller relative to it. The same inputs that once generated real pleasure now barely clear the threshold. This isn't depression, though it can slide into it. This is a calibration problem. Your reward system has been trained by your own habits and your environment to expect intensity. And in the presence of that expectation, ordinary life feels insufficient. A walk feels slow. A conversation feels low stakes. A book feels like friction. Not because those things are worse, because your prediction model has been recalibrated against a ceiling that didn't exist 10 years ago. Here's the twist. The solution is not to find better things, it's to find worse ones, deliberately, strategically, temporarily. What researchers studying reward recalibration have found is that the fastest way to restore normal dopamine sensitivity is not to add stimulation, but to remove it. Not as deprivation, but as reset. When the brain is no longer being flooded with guaranteed high-intensity reward, the baseline drops. And when the baseline drops, ordinary things become extraordinary again. Not because the world changed, because the prediction changed. The gap between expected and actual, the gap where dopamine lives, reopens. Pull back now, because this isn't just about dopamine and entertainment. This is a story about what happens when the optimization of comfort outpaces the evolution of the brain experiencing it. Every technology humans have ever built has, at some level, been an attempt to make reward more reliable, more accessible, more certain. Fire, agriculture, cities, medicine, writing. Each one collapsing some uncertainty, each one pulling the world slightly closer to guaranteed outcomes, and each one requiring a psychological adaptation that took centuries, not years. We are living inside the fastest reward compression event in human history, and our brains are running the same firmware they had on the savannah. The flatness you feel isn't weakness. It isn't ingratitude. It isn't a personality flaw. It is a nervous system behaving exactly as designed, in an environment it was never designed for. You are not broken. You are miscalibrated. And miscalibration, unlike damage, can be reversed. So what does that leave you with? The strange, somewhat uncomfortable truth that meaning and pleasure are not hiding in better content, more optimized experiences, or higher highs. They are hiding in the gap, in the unpredicted, in the uncertain, in the thing you didn't know was coming, in the reward that took effort to reach, in the moment where your brain genuinely didn't know what would happen next. Boredom, it turns out, is not the enemy of a good life. It might be the doorway back into one. And maybe that's not a tragedy. Maybe it's just the most human thing there is. The fact that our capacity for wonder is not infinite, not passive, and not free. It has to be earned, over and over again, which means it's always, technically, available. You just have to stop making it so easy.